What's going on, everybody? In this video, I want to share my experience selling my Range Rover right here to Carvana and share some of the key insights that I learned in that process to hopefully help you in deciding whether you should sell to one of these big instant cash offer retailers, automotive businesses, or whether you should sell privately. If you do decide to sell to one of these instant cash offer places, how to optimize that. What are some of the best practices and pro tips coming from someone who just recently sold their vehicle to one of these instant cash offer places and has been in the auto industry for over half a decade at this point. Anyway, let's get this started. If you're new here, if you haven't been following along with the series, I recently acquired a Range Rover, put a few thousand miles on it, sold it to Carvana, actually ended up making money on that situation, and decided that although I've been in the auto industry for quite some time, know how to market cars extremely well, that this instant cash offer situation through Carvana specifically was my best option given all of the different offers, circumstances, etc. And I'll share why I chose that. So let's get started, and I'll share just out of the gate my biggest takeaway, the most value possible for you, is that all of these instant cash offer places decide based on quantitative information. They're not so much picky about all of the nuance and qualitative details about your vehicle. I can go into that and explain a little bit more in a bit. So generally speaking, these instant cash offer places are looking at the retail value and the Blue Book value, Black Book, whatever, all of these compiled auction pieces of data, sold retail pieces of data, looking at that number, anticipating based on the quantitative metrics, the miles, the year, etc., what that thing should be selling for, and then making an offer below that, of course, so that they can make some margin on that. They are not looking at specific details such as whether the tires have 30% remaining tread life or 60% remaining tread life, whether those tires on it are off-brand cheapo or name brand highest quality performance tires possible. They didn't, at least in my instance, asked if the big services were done, if they were done at a verified shop at that specific vehicle's manufactured, authorized retailer or service center, or if they're going somewhere third party, or if that maintenance had just simply been neglected. There was no qualitative information, which in my specific instance really benefited me a lot. But if you're on the flip side of that, have a niche car or have something that's just been immaculately maintained through the authorized dealer or service center, then these instant cash offer places aren't going to value that in the same way that a potential buyer, a potential end buyer, private party buyer may value that. So that's the biggest takeaway. I do want to go into some of the other lessons and explore these concepts a little bit more. That's why you clicked on this video, to hopefully gain some insights, to learn this, and to be able to get some new ideas to decide whether these instant cash offer places would benefit you as far as selling your vehicle. So now that the big key takeaway has been unveiled, let's go into all of the little deciding factors as to whether you should sell with one of these instant cash offer places, and then if you decide to do that, how to go about doing that, which one specifically to use, and what the other options and alternatives are. So choosing to use one of these instant cash offer places can come with a variety of benefits and drawbacks, and the main ones are that generally you would think that you're giving up some margin, leaving money on the table from the sale of your vehicle by choosing to go this instant cash offer route, and instead giving up that value for speed, convenience, etc., which is a trade-off a lot of people would willingly make. But with how crazy the car market has been lately, these big instant cash offer places are paying top dollar. So when the alternative is Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist lowballers, these instant cash offer places can actually come in with a pretty substantial offer. I want to share why you might consider selling with them. Number one is you have no idea how to sell a vehicle and you don't care to learn how. You probably aren't in this position if you're watching automotive content on YouTube. You probably have some degree of interest in vehicles. But if you randomly clicked on my video to see, hey, should I sell this thing or not? Just give me the answer. Then you're in luck. If you have no interest in the auto industry, if you don't go through a lot of vehicles, and you instead say, hey, I really just want the convenience. I want someone to take care of this for me. I don't care to learn how to market and sell my car. This is not something I'll regularly and habitually do, but instead do it every 5-10 years. I'll buy something new, drive it into the ground, and then off with it. I don't care. Then one of these services may be good for you. Now, number 2 is when you're optimizing for speed and convenience, which I'll touch on in a second. But if you just want an instant offer, that's why I've been calling it one of these instant cash offer retailers, because it is instantaneous. You go in, you fill out the form online, it takes 5 minutes, and then someone can be at your house in as soon as later that day. So it's a pretty instantaneous process. If you're in a rush to leave a certain place or something else that you're optimizing for speed over top dollar, then this might be another good option. Whether it be that you just want the cash or that you drove the vehicle elsewhere, you're selling it somewhere, you don't want to deal with consignment, you have to move, you have to leave the state, whatever specific circumstance comes up, you have a great investment opportunity in a high dollar vehicle. You found an incredible deal on whatever vehicle you want to buy next, and you need the cash that day. Whatever cards life has dealt you to put you in a position where you're optimizing for liquidity and cash over top dollar, that may be a good option. The next one specifically applied to me, and this is huge. It's when you don't want to deal with the overly picky buyers, or when your demographic is not generally a private party buyer. So for me specifically, I had this very nice white Range Rover Evoque, or at least I'm calling it really nice because I did put thousands of miles on it. I thought it was a nice car. But generally a Range Rover buyer is hypercritical, hyper picky about exactly what they want, the history, all of the nuance, and all of these things. And that's just not a background that I generally deal with or come from. I deal with a lot of domestic vehicles as of late with less discretionary buyers, not the European crowd, for that reason. I don't like the over analytical, very picky, detail-oriented folks. I like the generalist, which tend to buy more domestic. Anyway, I digress. This is not to bash on the buyers of European vehicles at all. Just speaking generally, throwing an umbrella over the buyers. So that's number 1, the specific eye of the buyer. And then number 2 is that generally someone buying a Range Rover is going to do so through a dealership. They probably aren't going to buy private party, or it's less likely that they're going to do that versus going to a Range Rover authorized dealer or Carvana, where they have this greater notion of safety, security. They may be pampered throughout the sales process, be handed bottles of water, use the espresso machine, and all of the other stuff that can lead to a better sales experience or sales environment when buying this vehicle. They want to be treated, which is fine. But not something that happens generally with a private party sale. So my buyer for this vehicle is not someone that's looking for the budget solution on a private party marketplace like Craigslist, like Facebook, and instead are probably looking at Carvana and at the Range Rover dealership or Land Rover dealership for this Evoque. In selling this vehicle, that was definitely a consideration for me. Along with that, this specific Evoque that I had scuffs and scratches, no reported accidents on the Carfax, on the history report. That was beautiful and immaculately clean. However, the vehicle did have an unreported accident, touch-ups, and you could see that from the other videos if you cared to, or if you've been following along, you know the history of this car. It was not showroom cream puff perfect, but instead had some minor scuffs and stuff, which generally this Evoque buyer is going to be very peeved about, to say the least. It may be a complete turnoff where they don't even consider the vehicle despite how well it runs or anything else because of these cosmetics. Again, overly analytical buyer or adequately analytical buyer, depending on your perspective on this. And then secondly, going back to the original key takeaway that I stated in the beginning, I didn't really have maintenance records or service history or big service receipts on this vehicle. And on top of that, the tires that were on this thing were the Econo, not the suggested from the Range Rover Land Rover authorized dealer or service, or what should be put on this car. It was always the budget option. And I think that was a through line through the history of this vehicle. And with that, the buyers that are looking at this thing, especially buying a private party, one of their first questions is, what have you done to the car? How long have you had it? And all of these different things. And for me to reply, I've not had it that long. I've not put that many miles on it. And I don't think it's been serviced too well. That's not a good look. People generally don't want to buy that. So if your vehicle is in that circumstance, then it may be better to sell to one of these instant cash offer places for that reason. And then finally, for me specifically, as you can see on the camera, I'm a younger individual. And with that sometimes comes profiling and prejudice. So depending on whatever skin suit it is that you're in, whatever color or age or gender or sexual orientation, whatever, people have specific opinions on that. Also, alongside that, what neighborhood you live in, how you dress, all of these other socioeconomic factors that play into the sale of your vehicle. Now, one of these instant cash offer places is not going to look at that, but when you're dealing with an end buyer, this private party buyer, they're going to want to know who they're buying from. And I can speak for myself specifically as a younger male who is generally profiled as driving more aggressively or is less mature, whether merited or not. You can see some clips of me actually putting this Range Rover through more use than the general Range Rover buyer. So the profiling and the opinion is true in this instance. Same with, and I have it noted here, an 18-year-old versus a 68-year-old Mustang GT or Corvette owner. Who are you going to want to buy your Mustang GT or your Corvette or any other sports car from? Let's say it's the exact same vehicle. You have the grandson or the grandpa selling it, but it's a completely different experience whether you're buying it from the grandson in his apartment complex or the grandpa at his $1 million mansion. Same exact vehicle, different seller, different location. It's interesting how that would play into the deal or the perception of the quality of the vehicle. And that really affects the buying decision of that end buyer, that private party buyer, especially if they're going to have it for quite some time. Versus this instant cash offer place, A, doesn't look at that, and B, kind of veils that for the end buyer. And then finally, another consideration for myself were title complications. So end buyers tend not to like to deal with a whole bunch of mess and runaround as far as getting the title, especially for lower ticket vehicles. So some people want or may only buy a vehicle with the clean title in hand. They just want to do the exchange with the clean title from your state in your name for cash right there instantly. They don't want to deal with anything else, and that could be a deal breaker if you, let's say, have a loan or have it registered in a different state. So if the bank holds the title or something like that, if there's any degree of complication, that's just one more hurdle to overcome with a potential buyer. And as someone who's lived in multiple different states and had vehicles between these different states, some folks are very picky about not buying a vehicle that's not titled in that state that they're residing in specifically. Nothing wrong, nothing bad, nothing illegal about this. It's just not comfortable for end buyers that aren't well versed in that. Some states require notary on the title and others don't. Or in my instance, which is where this got really messy, my license was in state A, the vehicle was registered in state B, and I'm geographically at that moment selling the vehicle in state C. So for a buyer, they were really deterred by a younger male with this weird historied Range Rover with this vehicle that was your vehicle from this state. Oh, you're from Indiana, selling it geographically in California and it's registered somewhere else? What? That makes no sense. So people have apprehensions if there are hiccups, if there are hurdles. And so all of these different hurdles, although not illegal, nothing wrong with it, is just extra headache and hassle for an end buyer. And again, everything is above the line, totally fine, which is how I was able to sell it to Carvana. They don't care what sort of hassle or hurdles they have to jump through, or they're fine with it. They just want to acquire the vehicle that they're aiming to acquire, regardless of what you look like, where you live, what sort of hurdles and hoops they have to go through to get this thing. So for me, as a complicated younger guy with hurdles and hoops, it was perfect that I ended up selling it to this instant cash offer retailer. So those are just some considerations. There are definitely some others as well, but I'll leave the list there. Now, if you've decided that, okay, maybe I am optimizing for speed rather than top dollar, or maybe given the complexities and all of the different dynamics of the circumstance and situation, that it may be better that I sell my vehicle to one of these instant cash offer retailers, what is some general advice? And that's what I want to share with you right now. So you've decided to sell to one of these instant cash offer retailers, and I'm saying that vaguely and broadly because although I used Carvana specifically, there are a lot of different companies in the marketplace, all of which you should consider using. There is Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, Carvana, Vroom, Carmax, a local dealership trade-in, etc. I'm sure I'm missing some. There are so many different instant offers that you should entertain all of them. See which one gives you the top dollar for your vehicle, because as I found, there's a broad difference between these different places. I'll go ahead and throw up my different offers on the screen right here from these different retailers, but as you can see, there's slim variance between a couple of them and then just massive variance between others. As you can see, Carvana prevailed with the highest offer from me for this specific vehicle, but I can't say that that's going to be the case for everybody. So do your diligence and see who offers you the most. And then secondly, once you have all of these different offers compiled, then you can go ahead and check the market, check comps, see listings right now for a similar vehicle. You can go take your vehicle, plug it in, and look it up on Auto Tempest, eBay Motors, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, etc. Really quick, it doesn't have to take too long, just to get a gauge, an idea of what this thing is worth on the market. And if there's a huge discrepancy between what these seem to be listed for, trading for, and what these offers are that you got from these instant cash offer retailers, maybe you use that information to reconsider and say, hey, I'm gonna try to post it up just for a little while. Let's give it a week and see, hey, maybe someone will give somewhere in the middle between what these high retail numbers are and what these low instant cash offers are. Or maybe you see, oh my gosh, the instant cash offer is right at or nearly above what these things seem to be trading for on the private party market. I'm gonna take this offer right now, which was the case for my Evoque. I got a stellar offer. I posted the vehicle. I posted my Evoque on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and Craigslist and got hits, got inquiries and stuff, and it was at a number greater than what Carvana was offering me, but nobody came to check it out. And any of the offers that I had gotten from seemingly serious buyers were all below that Carvana price. What the heck? So armed with that information, I could reject those lower offers. Specifically for me, I had it in the 18s or 19s, the car booked out at north of 20 grand, so I thought that it was a fair deal to be in the high teens. All of my private party offers though were at like 15K. I don't know if these were end buyers or flippers. Regardless, my Carvana offer ended up being in the 16s. Based on having filled out that form, taking 5 or 10 minutes to submit my vehicle's information to Carvana specifically, or these other instant cash offer retailers, I was able to set a baseline of sorts of what an acceptable price would be and what a rejectable price would be. Now, I think the bases are covered there. Next up, I want to talk about the actual process of what it took to submit this offer and get a number back from these instant cash offer retailers, and the selling process. Of course, this is a non-paid N-of-1 experience. I can only speak for myself. I know some people have had even better, more amazing and incredible experiences, and then some people have had the worst experiences in the world. You could read all the reviews and get different subjective opinions from all sorts of individuals. But myself, speaking from my one instance of dealing with Carvana, it was beautiful. It was simple, it was easy. I input the information. I did it incorrectly the first time. It was a little bit tough to go back and edit that, which we will be talking about next, really quick as soon as I finish this thought. But I went back and updated all of the information, got the correct number spit back out to me, and it was seamless. And as far as scheduling an agent or a transporter to come check out the vehicle, verify that everything that I said was true, and pick it up, write the check, do all the paperwork and all of that, it was easy, it was quick, it was seamless, and it was smooth. I have a few clips that I can overlay right now, but it was incredibly easy, simple, one of the best, most serene, peaceful car transaction sales experience I've had, and I've personally had plenty of them. So that is saying quite a bit in my shoes. And then finally, if you've been sticking around until the end here, I do want to share one more secret golden nugget. I know I spoke a little bit earlier about the big thing of quantitative versus qualitative, but I do want to share one more little hack as someone who spent a lot of time in the auto industry, who employed this hack to make himself an extra $5,000 on his car, what you can do with one of these instant cash offer retailers. So I had gone through, submitted the form. Actually, someone had submitted it on my behalf. And in doing so, they said that it was a cream puff, absolutely perfect car, when in reality, there were a few bumps, bruises, scratches, scrapes, and a tire light on the dash. So Carvana originally had come to my house, checked it out, and the employees said, nope, can't take it. There's a discrepancy between how it's listed on Carvana's site and the condition report, and then how it is IRL, how it is in real life and the condition that it's in. But go in, update everything, and then I'll be able to come back and buy this thing. So I went back, I filled everything out with the correct information this time, and my offer was drastically lower. So I checked and I realized that in having any sort of dash light on, and this is what I'm talking about with quantitative over qualitative, the offer drastically decreased versus having no dash lights on whatsoever. Allowed that price to be at the upper edge and limit of what they would be able to offer. So in my specific instance, it was in the high 16s for my offer, assuming that it was basically a perfect car mechanically with a couple little cosmetic bruises, scratches, etc. But then my offer was down as low as in the 11s, if I recall correctly, with simply having the tire light on, which is a non-issue in my opinion. I was driving around, it didn't affect the way in which the car drove, but because there was this little check engine light, not even a check engine light, because there was this little dash light on, the offer was drastically lower. So in the system, in the algorithm, which is something that could be tweaked, it says if there's any dash light on, in my instance, of course, N of 1, to drop the price this much. That way, in the event the dash light was, let's say, a big check engine light with a problem that needed a lot of expensive repairs, diagnosis, etc., then Carvana or one of these different retailers could cover their backside and downside with a lower offer to accommodate this potential issue. Now for me, having it just being a tire light, something that doesn't affect how it drives again, and is not really expensive to fix, I decided, oh, well, I'll just say that there's no tire light, and between right now and when Carvana comes, I'll just go and pay to get these new TPMS put in, relearned, and reset, so that there are no lights. So if your vehicle has one of these little quirky issues, let's say you have a bad O2 sensor that could be replaced for 20 bucks, you know how to turn a wrench, you have an 18 mil, you can do it in your driveway, and the sensor costs 20 bucks on Amazon, go ahead and do that. I would highly advise that over selling the vehicle with a check engine light that could drastically reduce the value of your vehicle. In my instance specifically, it was a $5,000 discrepancy between having no lights on the dash and the TPMS light versus paying about $500 to get new sensors put in my wheels. Same with the check engine light or something else. If you have a minor issue that's causing a light on the dash, evap code, whatever weird sensor has gone awry, change it yourself. Or if you can't, hire it out at a shop, because knowing that that vehicle is fixed, no lights on the dash, could end up saving you more than the difference that these instant cash retailers would pay you. And it's at that point a simple economic decision. This instant cash retailer is going to hack off $5K on the price. If I can get it fixed for $5K or less, then get it fixed. If not, sell it as is. Pretty simple there. But I think that wraps up this video. That's everything that I learned through selling my Range Rover to Carvana and coming out pretty far ahead, especially based on what I bought it for. So hopefully you found this video slightly entertaining, educational, insightful, and allowed you to get a better insight on whether you should sell your vehicle to one of these instant cash offer retailers or go ahead and sell a private party. And if you did find this video helpful, definitely drop a like down below, drop a comment telling me what you thought, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with future content. With that in mind, I will see you on the next one. Peace.